Hello, my spell-checked friends. Arlo here, and today we're reviewing Typoman. It was originally released on the Wii U a few years ago, and I played the demo, but never had a chance to pick it up. So, now that it's on the Switch and shinier than ever, is Typoman a novel concept, or a draft that's much too rough? Let's find out. Typoman is all about figuring out its puzzles on your own and really appreciating its cleverness, so I'm gonna try to keep spoilers to a minimum and only show footage from the tutorial area and like a little bit of Chapter 1. The game has an... Okay, I know I already made this joke, but it's really not a joke this time. Typoman really does have an extremely novel concept at its core, and I've certainly never played anything like it. You play as this little inky letter guy, presumably named either Typoman or Hero. You can run and jump, but really the only weapon you've got at your disposal is the ability to manipulate letters. These letters, when formed into words, then manipulate the world around you. You can pick up letters and move them manually, you can use a pop-up menu to arrange a group of letters any way you want, and later in the game you find panels that give you a set of letters that you can summon any number of. And words really are everything here. The entire world runs on them. Some words will present hazards, and it's your job to alter them in just the right way to make the path safe again. Even further, there are more traditional puzzle elements mixed in. Sometimes you gotta figure out how to get the letters you need. Often there will be precise timing involved, or you'll need to make a series of words in the right order to manipulate a puzzle in just the right way. And I really cannot overstate how clever this game is. Its use of wordplay in both its puzzles and even in just its environments had me smiling the whole time. There are lots and lots of little touches you'll miss if you're not paying close enough attention, and the wordplay even feeds into the design of the world's various inhabitants. That core concept may be strong, but its platforming, not so much. The controls aren't awful by any means, but ledges are weirdly slippery, leading to some frustrating falls, and sometimes trying to jump and climb around can just be a little sluggish. The experience is just pretty mediocre when all you're doing is platforming. Fortunately though, that rarely takes up too much of your playtime. Slightly less fortunate, even the controls outside of platforming are a bit awkward. Again, nothing awful, but I got frustrated more than once trying to manipulate a lot of letters at once. Difficulty-wise, I'd say the game's solid, and it really depends on how good you are with words. I got decently stuck staring at a few puzzles, though the eventual aha moment was usually a good reward. But then my friend watched me play through a lot of it, and they pretty much always knew the answer, like way before I did. If there was one single thing that was hard in an unfun way, it was the very last challenge. No spoilers here, naturally, but it relies too much on platforming and trial and error and even luck, so it wasn't really all that enjoyable. Fortunately though, whatever the challenge, the game uses a very generous checkpoint system. You've still got to get through every challenge without dying, including a good number of insta-death chase sequences, but you'll never have to spend too much time retreading old ground. Even better, the game loads very quickly after you die. That's the sort of thing that can make or break a game like this. In the visual department, Typoman is very nice. It uses a simple but pleasant monochrome art style, and I know a lot of games get compared to Limbo, but it's very, very similar to Limbo in a lot of ways. Nothing too fancy or high budget, and sometimes it's hard to tell if you can jump on something or if it's in the background, but overall, very much pleasant. One thing that does stand out, however, is the cutscenes. The game has no dialogue, but it tells a story through brief cinematics as you move between areas. These were much cooler than I expected them to be, and they were definitely a highlight. I also really appreciated the game's tone. There's some creepy and grim stuff in there, and I'm a big fan of creepy and grim. Hope you like violence against little letter guys. As far as sound design goes, there's really not a lot to report. The music is mostly very light and ambient. I do appreciate how it further sets that tone, but it would have been nice to have at least a few more substantial tracks. There were times when I felt like the simple soundscapes were selling things short. One big issue with Typoman is length. The asking price is a little steep considering you'll probably beat it in 3 or 4 hours. Maybe even less if you're just amazing with words like my friend is, or just not stupid like I am. Length isn't too much of a problem as long as a game's got decent replayability, but once you've played Typoman and figured out all the solutions and seen all the clever ways it uses words, that's kind of it. There are optional quotation marks to find throughout the world, but unfortunately this doesn't add much to the replayability as I was able to grab all but 3 my first time through. I greatly enjoyed my playthrough, but I can't honestly see myself giving it another go. At least not until enough time has passed that I've forgotten some of the solutions or something. It's a little weird though, because not even considering the price, I'm having a hard time deciding if I was happy with the length. On the one hand, it's never good when a game overstays its welcome, especially with a concept like this. You don't want it to drive itself into the ground, and indeed by the end it felt like I'd been playing for a somewhat satisfying amount of time, even if the last chapter felt like it was cut short. but on the other hand, it's such a great idea that I wanted to see even more done with it. I was so hungry for more of that cleverness that whenever the game had me jumping across platforms for too long or it reused a concept one too many times, I was that much more aware of it. I don't know, maybe that means the game could have used like one more chapter or something, or maybe one or two more mechanics to play around with. Off the top of my head, I can even think of a type of puzzle that was only used once, so there's some wasted potential right there. It's worth adding, though, that the game features 2 minigames that do help add some value to the experience. In one of them, you just try to make as many words as you can in 1 minute, which is fine, I guess, but the star here is one where you've got a set of letters to make words with, and you can convert those words into their antonyms with the ultimate goal of getting the letters you need to make the one the game gives you. This can be really time-consuming and tricky, but man, is it fun. The perfect kind of brain twister to have on your Switch for when you're just stuck somewhere and want to stare at a puzzle for a while. Lastly, of course, let's touch on performance. The game runs pretty well. There are a few tiny hitches and hiccups here and there, but never anything distracting. Overall, frame rate is fine and resolution is great, and I can't seem to spot a difference in performance between docked and handheld mode. The environments are pretty big though, and your character is pretty small, so I found it a little more comfortable to play on the TV. At the end of the day, what you've got here is a game with a really great concept, executed really well, but with a few elements dragging it down a bit. First and foremost, its length. If it were 1 or 2 hours longer or it cost less, I would say picking it up was a no-brainer. So if you ever see it on sale and it's something that interests you, definitely jump on it. It may not be perfect, but it's certainly unique, and that's not something a lot of games can say these days. I give Typoman Revised a solid 5 out of 7. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about Typoman down in the comments, and always remember to check your spelling. See you next time!